Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope everyone had an amazing long weekend. Well, it was a long weekend to our friends south of the border, but I think a lot of Canadians took Friday off because Canada Day was on a Thursday, so I'm going to say it's a long weekend. Welcome to episode 55 of Outside the Chute. I'm your host, Randy Frame. This week's OTC Player of the Week comes to us from Cincinnati, Ohio, as Haley Johnson of the NKY Bandits Premier 05 team takes home the honors. Haley went 9 for 17 last weekend with 3 doubles, a home run, and 9 RBIs at the Midwest Elite Invite Showcase in Marion, Ohio. Fantastic job, Haley, and best of luck the rest of the season. On to this week's guest, and we sat down with Arizona Sun Devils alum and Athletes Unlimited member, San Diego's own Morgan Howe. Morgan has had a remarkable career to date, as she would be named to the 2017 NFCA All-Pacific Region second team and All-Mountain team at Fresno State before transferring to Arizona State, where she would go on to be named a Pac-12 and NFCA All-Region first team, a first-team All-American, while also making a trip to the 2018 Women's College World Series. Last season, Morgan participated in the inaugural season of Athletes Unlimited, where she finished 25th overall in the point standings. We're going to talk to Morgan about getting her start in the game down in Cali, her recruiting process, her time at Fresno State, her transfer to Arizona State, of course, Athletes Unlimited, as well as much, much more. This was a fantastic interview, as Morgan's outgoing, no-holds-barred personality made for one of my favorite interviews to date. With that being said, grab that drink, sit back, relax, because here we go.
I got the world in my palm, like camera action, it's on. I can't describe what I'm feeling, ain't never felt this freedom. I got the world in my palm, like camera action, it's on. Ain't never felt this freedom. Could you say that anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes.
All right, Morgan, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I got to say, first off, congrats on the recent graduation from University of Florida with a master's degree.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So are we officially calling you the Master of Disaster now?
Yes, that is my name. Originally it was Bless This Mess, but we got Master of Disaster now, baby.
Nice, nice. So what was the master's in?
Sport management.
Oh, right on, right on. So what do you plan on?
You know what? After I graduated from Arizona State, the question was, so what's next? And I was able to use that excuse of, I'm going to go back to school and get a master's. And we're here now with the master's, and we still have yet to figure that out.
I'm sure you're not the only one that's done that before. So, I mean, yeah.
You know, the more and more people I talk to, the more and more people I meet, it's the same story.
Yeah. Yeah. So how weird was it being around all that orange and blue?
It was different. Definitely a different experience for sure. I think it was really cool to be on a different side of the country. I mean, I've only been on the West Coast, and just even, I mean, meeting different people. The culture's just different out here. And, I mean, in terms of athletics and sports and stuff like that, I thought it was really cool to be at, like a football school and, be a part of, well, not be a part of, but at least sit in the stands and, sit in the mix of all the crazy, like diehard, fans. So,
oh, yeah. Yeah. So you were working with the Gators ball team in some form, weren't you?
Yeah, I was working with the softball team, the 2020 season. And then Coach Walton was really nice to let me play AU in the fall. So I missed about like a month and a half, maybe 2 months of the fall of 2020. And then I was there until Christmas break. Came back after Christmas, was getting my COVID test. Found out that we had a death in the family, so I went back for about a month, and then I came back in February. And then I was out there for a little bit, and then I decided that I wanted to play with Team Florida, and it didn't really work out. So I ended up getting let go in a sense, and didn't finish out the season with them. But it was all, how do I want to say this? I mean, it wasn't hostile or anything like that.
Right.
It was a very smooth transition.
Right on. That's cool then.
Yeah.
So what was did you get to go to any football games there? Because I know that's pretty crazy there.
Yeah. So the fall before COVID, so 2019,
yeah,
I got to go to a few football games. And I mean, that experience was just different in itself. I've been to a couple Arizona State football games and a couple Fresno State football games. I mean, those were fun, but I mean, I've never been a part of like a sold out stadium, sweaty people everywhere. So that was really fun, especially pre-COVID. And then I got to go to a couple football games in the fall of 2020, and those were still fun. I mean, those fans still got extremely loud. So.
Right. Well, that's cool, man.
But yeah,
it'd be. I think this coming season probably everything's pretty much open back up down there anyway. So I mean,
yeah, I think this fall will be a lot different for sure. I think towards the end of this fall season, they were, letting a lot more people in than COVID allowed.
Right. Under the radar, what? So you mentioned you were playing some ball there with the Florida Pro League team there. You played against the Canadian Olympic team back in May, didn't you?
Yeah. So we were actually originally supposed to go out to Spain. That's the opportunity that I was asking Coach Walton about.
Right.
It was obviously in May. We were supposed to go to Spain for a week. And due to COVID and things of that nature, it ended up getting canceled. So we decided to play Team Canada out in Fort Myers for a weekend. And then a day later, drove down to Clearwater and was playing Team Mexico for, I think 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
So over that course of the week, we still got games in, but yeah, I got to play against Team Canada for 4 games.
Nice.
And that was really cool. I mean, that was an experience in itself. The fall of 2019, I was actually working out with Team Canada for a little bit in hopes that my citizenship would go through, but it ended up not. So.
Oh, is that right? I never knew that.
Yeah, no one ever knew that. It was a very, very short period of time. So not something that,
so
very short.
Who in your family's Canadian?
My grandpa, so my dad's dad, he was born in Canada. And then my dad went and got his citizenship. And then we're trying to get mine, but because I'm not as directly affiliated.
Right.
It's going to take like years.
Yeah.
So,
wow. That would have been cool though. I mean,
that would have been really cool, huh?
Yeah. So how fun was it to get back into some game action?
Really fun, especially considering after I graduated from Arizona State, I really thought my career was done.
Right.
I mean, there's just so little professional opportunity, and I didn't get drafted by the NPF. I reached out over the course of the summer and I heard back from nobody. Just didn't think I was going to play. Decided to get my master's. That was just really nice to be a part of, be around softball and be like, be a part of a team,
Yep.
Even if I was just like doing all the behind the scenes stuff, but, and then COVID hit and I was like, wow, I just can't have softball. I just, and then there was a tryout prior to COVID for, California Commotion, which was the new MPS team that was getting added.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I did go on a limb. I flew back home for that tryout, ended up making it. So the dream didn't die completely until COVID hit. And I was like, wow, so I can't even work around softball and I'm not gonna be able to play. And then Athletes Unlimited happened. So
well,
it was really nice. It was really nice to be able to get back out on the field.
Yeah, for no doubt. I mean, we'll jump into Athletes Unlimited here in a bit, but is there actually? I never even thought about asking this, but the California Commotion team, is there still talk about them? If MPF gets to get going again here next year, if they're going to be joining, or any word on that?
I mean, as far as I know, I don't see why not. I mean, I haven't heard different again, as far as I've heard, we've been in the loop. So we had our tryout and then COVID canceled our first season. And then, I mean, I heard something about the second season getting canceled. So I assumed that, Commotion was still going to be in the league. But I guess we'll just wait until next summer to find out if they are or aren't.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed there.
Yeah.
Anyway, something we like to do at the beginning of the podcast here, little thing to kind of break the ice. We call it quick pitches. I'm going to throw 10 random questions to you.
Oh boy.
You answer.
If you're looking for a quick response, I promise you they won't. They won't be.
Don't worry. Just, hey, you can answer these best you can. So,
okay.
All right, we'll get going. First one, biggest thing you miss at Arizona State.
That's hard. See, I can't do this quick stuff because there's, oh man, gosh. I'll tell you, it's a tie between Coach Ford,
okay,
Club Farrington, or the uniforms.
Okay. Hey, that's an answer. Next one. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
I'm going to say animals.
Okay. Dr. Doolittle, huh?
I can talk. If I could talk to animals, I can still learn every language in the world.
Good point. Very good point. Yep. Next one. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, how are your math skills?
Listen, my math is actually spectacular. They just caught me on an off day. They caught me on a really, really off day.
That video, for anybody listening that doesn't know what we're talking about here, the Athletes Unlimited have a video with Morgan and her math skills, and it's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, that they just caught me on a really, really off day. My math was one of my best subjects.
Okay, all right. I believe you. I'll take your word.
So I'm going to say a 10. I'm a 10 at math.
Very good. Besides softball, what are some of your other passions?
Oh boy. My other passions. I mean, I would say I'm just really into like my people, like my circle. Mm-hmm. I love knowing what my people are doing with their lives. Are they okay? How are they doing? Things like that. So I guess the other things I'm passionate about are, my inner circle, my corner, if that makes sense.
Right on. Yep. Who's your go-to band or artist when you can't decide on something to listen to?
Chris Brown, hands down. That's the quickest answer you're ever going to get.
Chris Brown, right on. Who was your biggest idol growing up?
It's a mix between my mom and my dad. I mean, my dad was my softball person, but my mom was more of my personal life person. So it's a even split between those two.
Excellent. If you could relive one moment from your life all over again, what is it?
Ooh. If I could relive one moment of my entire life.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one because oh man. I
should have probably narrowed it down to like softball or something.
Yeah. You gotta split me in one direction.
Okay, softball. Let's take it from there.
If I could relive one moment, I would say the Ali Tatnall walk-off against Utah on Sunday. We came back and scored like 9 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning. Ooh. That is a day I will want to relive forever.
The video I posted a couple days ago.
Actually, yeah, the one you posted a couple days ago. Yeah. That exact moment.
That was amazing. Yeah. By the way, like that's unheard of. 9 runs in the bottom of the 7th.
You're asking for quality at bats through and through.
Yeah.
Out of your entire team, like that's hard for everyone to lock in and be committed to that. That's hard. I would 100% relive that.
Being down 17-9 going in the bottom of the 7th and, pretty much going
scoring 9 runs to walk it off. Like that's disgusting. Like who does that?
Exactly. That's unreal. All right. Next one. If you could have a never ending candle that smelled like anything you wanted, what fragrance would you want it to be?
Capri Blues Volcano.
What? What the hell is that?
And so the scent is called Volcano, and it's by Capri Blue. That'll be the second and only quickest answer you'll ever get.
Wow. Okay. I actually didn't expect a quick one on that one.
Yeah, that's my favorite scent. You can buy that candle at Anthropology.
Okay. I was gonna say mine's like vanilla cupcakes.
No, Volcano by Capri Blue. That's
All right.
it.
I'm going to Google that when we're done, by the way. Next one. Is this the Padres season?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You could ask me even in our worst. It's always the Padres season.
Hey, they got a good shot
Always.
this year.
Go Pods, baby.
Yeah. Tough division, though. I mean, no, I don't think anybody expected San Francisco to do what they're doing, but...
Listen, I only worry about us.
Yeah. Good enough. Good enough. Last one. Favorite uniform color combo at ASU?
Oh, that's so hard. Okay, I'm going to say, me personally, I really, really loved wearing maroon.
Yeah.
Our all maroon jerseys. But that's hard because we looked clean in our all whites, whether that was like the Devils or like the Stripes, Arizona State. But I will say, I think my favorite uniform was the maroon.
Okay.
Because, I mean, not a lot of people look good in maroon. And for a whole team to just look bomb.
Man, I'm telling you right now,
in maroon.
ASU, I'll say it, hands down, best unis in the NCAA.
100%. Because it's not just the uniform, it's the helmet, the stirrup,
everything.
It's the cleats, it's the gloves to match. I mean, it's just they know it. Coach Ford knows what she's doing when she picks out these uniform combos. Let me tell you. Yeah.
So actually, I'll just side clip. We're done quick pitches now, anyway. So side thing here. How awesome was Swag Day? Getting all your swag.
Oh God! I mean, it was best day ever because in order to get your gear, you had to make sure, like, you had to pass your conditioning test.
Right.
So, you know, not only are you getting your stuff, but like you passed your test, like you don't have anything else to worry about. So that was the best day ever. Nice. Those were always the best days.
Right on, man. I love getting new, back when I, like, in my competitive days playing ball and stuff, like getting all the team gear and everything. Oh man, I just loved it.
Yeah. I mean, there's just also something about, you know, like the tag snapping off.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Ripping off the tag to throw it on. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about that sound, that feeling.
Absolutely. All right. So with every guest, we start off with your career with tell us when and where you got your start in the game.
When and where I got my start. Okay. So you mean like when I was little?
Yeah.
Well, so Dad played baseball. We would always go to his like adult league baseball games because he couldn't give up the dream. And then eventually when he stopped playing, he threw me in T-ball, but it was like with the boys. Right. And the difference between me and my sister, I mean, because I'm the oldest, my sister was a tomboy. She loved hanging out with the boys. She loved, you know, doing the dirty, like playing in the mud, you know, whatever. And I was the Bratz dolls, princesses. I was that kind of girl. And he threw me in with the boys, and I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't care. I don't want to be here. So my parents let me quit under the one condition that I play a season of softball and I have to finish it out. So I was like, fine, whatever, as long as I'm with girls. I wasn't really super interested in it. Didn't really like it much. And then one day my friends from school, because I lived right underneath a park, we were up at the park and I saw my friends from school playing softball, and I was like, Dad, I want to do that. And he was like, I literally signed you up. You were at practice 2 days ago. This is the same thing. This is the same thing. And I was like, no, but it looks fun because they're doing it. Yeah. So that's how I got started. MMGS, Mira Mesa Girls Softball, our rec league. That's where I started. And then from there, just loved it ever since.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask, like, can you remember what age you fell in love with the game? Or obviously it wasn't right from the get-go.
Yeah. So I think I started playing when I was 7. So, I mean, if you look at me compared to a lot of the other girls that play this game, I think that I started really late. But I would say that I started falling in love with it maybe when I was like maybe 10.
Okay. It
took a few years because I wasn't good at it. And
right.
I had to learn how to hit a ball and catch a ball. And things like that. I didn't love it at first. I mean, I loved going to McDonald's after the game.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
Who doesn't?
But, so, I mean, my 6-piece Happy Meal,
Yeah.
I couldn't give that up. So
absolutely not.
But when I started figuring out how to play the game and it started making sense, I would say that's when I fell in love with it. I think it was like my 10U All-Star team, because we actually like did really well, and it was just cool to be a part of something that was like, doing something. So,
right. So were there any coaches growing up, like through the, travel ball and stuff through that at younger age that, helped you along the way?
I would say every coach, but I think the coach that I owe everything to is my travel ball coach, Mike Emoto. I mean, cause he just taught me things like not just softball wise, but just having a good character. I remember, cause I would get really angry. I mean, I think I was just born naturally competitive. And if I didn't get a base hit, or if I didn't do this or I didn't do that, I started throwing my stuff. And I mean, that's just something you just don't do. So there was one time that, I mean, I finally was figuring it out. I was consistently hitting the ball, whatever. And then I finally hit like my first slump, and I can't remember what I threw. I think I threw my helmet in the dugout. I chucked it. And oh man, he sat me for like a month. He didn't let me play for well, maybe it felt like a month.
Yeah. It was probably 2 days.
It probably was 2 weekends, maybe at the most.
Yeah.
But I think that they were like really important weekends. I think they were like qualifying weekends to like play in PGF and things like that. But he sat me. He was like, "No, you will not see the field.
Wow.
Like you're gonna sit there and and my dad was the assistant coach and he was all for it.
Yeah.
And, he was like, hell yeah, you're gonna sit there. You're gonna sit there and all the times that you were yelling at me thinking that you could get away with this, now your head coach is telling you, you could sit there.
Yeah.
So
that's a good learning lesson though.
No, very good. I mean, I never threw anything ever again until college.
Until nobody was around.
We won't get into that. Until I could have the what's the privacy of going into the locker room and doing it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, no, it definitely it shapes me and it helps me respect the game a lot more and just, realize too that it's just a game and there's a lot of other things that you can get mad about and show that kind of emotion about. So I would say that. And then just having a work ethic. I mean, he was really big on, being the first one there, being the last one to leave. And, it's not about the quantity, it's all about the quality of your reps and, fine tuning the smallest details. So I would say I owe almost everything to Coach Mike. And then obviously, I mean, Coach Ford really, really shaped me and molded me into the human I am today. So
right on.
Coach Mike to start me out and then Coach Ford to really, what's the word I'm looking for? Polish the edges.
Gotcha. That makes sense. It does to me anyway. So I know you had success in high school and later on in travel ball.
Sharpen the edges.
Yeah, sharpen. That's perfect. Perfect, Morgan.
Sharpen the edges. I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
Hey, sharpen the edges is perfect.
Sharpen, polish. They're all the same,
Exactly. Now I know you had some success in high school and later on in your later ages in travel ball. What was that like for you at that time?
It was really good while it was good. But the law of averages, you're just never going to be perfect all the time.
Right.
So, it was hard for me to be so successful and then get into slumps. And that's the name of the game. Something you got to learn, but, it was hard. It was good when it was good and it was not so good when it wasn't.
Hey, that's like every sport. Actually, not even sport, life.
Yeah. But at the same time, with Coach Mike, just go back to the drawing board and the game knows. And if you put in the time, if you put in the work and, you're committed to it, it'll give back to you. So even when I was in my slumps, I didn't shy away from getting back in the cages and, working on the craft and grinding it out. At some point, eventually, it's going to turn around and the game's going to give back. So
absolutely,
even it's the law of averages. I mean, you could be super successful and then, the game's got to humble you out, but in humbling you out, it's going to give back to you and give you that success again too. So
100%.
Just got to ride those waves.
Yeah.
Ride those waves.
So tell us about the recruiting process. What led to the decision to attend Fresno State?
Yeah. So I actually didn't watch softball growing up. Did not know who the good teams were, what the good conferences were, anything of the sort. I didn't even know that you could go to school and get paid, get your school paid for through sports. Like it was just a foreign concept to me.
Really?
So yeah. So when I heard that you could play softball in college, I was like, oh, I don't give a shit where I go. Sorry.
Exactly.
But I don't care where I go. I just want to play. Yep. And if I can get a free education in the midst of it all, free. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, for me, it was just going somewhere. I didn't know where I wanted to go, who I wanted to play for. I didn't really care.
Yeah.
So when we started going to showcases, and there'd be a couple schools that, would like voice to my coach that they shared an interest. I didn't really, a lot of them, I had no idea where they were. So I was just like, I only know UCLA, San Diego State, and maybe USC because I'm from San Diego. So like I've never been, so I kind of like, I don't think I want to go there. I'm not really sure where I want to go, but I don't think it's there. And then around the time that I could actually start taking visits, Fresno State, I had been noticing Fresno State in the stands, and I didn't know who they were there for. And then I ended up getting told like a few weeks later that they were there for me. And I was like, Fresno State, like, first of all, where's Fresno? Is that like in Antarctica? Like, sounds like it's a cold place, Fresno freezing. It just made sense. And then I was an idiot, lived in California basically my whole life. And it's literally,
I was going to say, California. Come on.
It's literally in California. I know. I didn't know. Tells you how much I get out.
That's amazing.
So, took my visit, and I just fell in love with Coach Ford. And the whole staff, quite frankly. Coach Stubbs was there, Coach Carlewin, and Coach Pick, Sarah Pickering. Jeff Harder, I think, was like the volunteer at the time, but I fell in love with all of them. And then what I liked was that it was like just far enough away that my parents couldn't show up unannounced, but also close enough that they could like come to the games.
Yeah.
And then it felt like a college school. The football program, the stadium itself, it just felt like it felt like a nice college town, which they were. Fresno community is really, really into Fresno State athletics. So
right.
I think that's what drew me to Fresno State. And then on top of it, I don't know if you've ever seen Fresno State softball stadium, but man, like they have a pretty field there.
Do they? I actually, you would think that I would have looked that up doing my research, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm going to now.
It's beautiful. The stands themselves make you feel like you're in your own football stadium. So I just thought that was really cool. Yeah. So fell in love with that. Mostly Coach Ford, just, how much she loved and how much she cared. And I think for my parents, the big thing was like, well, we're not just here to shape her as an athlete. Like, we are going to shape her into a human, like a good human being. Yeah. So that was a big thing. And then obviously that's what it turned out to be. So that's what drew me to Fresno State initially. And then also just like the culture that Coach Ford ingrained there. The team, I've never been a part of such a tight-knit team. I had never felt so welcomed by a group of people. And then I finally got there, and it's like we had known each other for years.
That's awesome.
And I just met them. So that's what drew me to Fresno State.
Awesome. So like when you initially got there in the fall, was there any like, learning adjustments for, being on your own?
Oh yeah. I had to learn how to cook for myself for one thing. I knew some things, but that was an adjustment. And then also like not just cooking for yourself, but like, cooking like actual nutritious meals.
Not just craft dinner.
Not just mac and cheese and quesadillas and things you can pop in the microwave.
Right.
I think that was a really big adjustment. And then also for me especially, I was probably the weakest minded athlete I've ever met. Like if I had to be my freshman year's teammate, oh my God, I would have some words with myself. But it was definitely an adjustment. School wise, I was never someone to worry about. My parents were always just like, if you don't get your schoolwork done, then you can't play softball. Right. And that's exactly how it was. So school wise, it was not very much of an adjustment. I like to think I'm a pretty intelligent human being. But softball wise, like I said, like I was just a very weak minded person. So I thought I've never lifted weights before. I had never gone through like hard ass conditioning. Yep. So to me, I'm thinking I'm pushing myself, and I didn't really know that I had like a lot left in the tank, if that makes sense. So I was a very frustrating freshman for the team. I won't even lie about it. It's nice because I can talk to the girls now and joke about it, but it was a transition for sure. I actually remember calling my dad probably I think the third weekend, and I was like, I'm coming home. I was like, come get me. And he's like, all right, like I'll start packing your bags. I'll come get you. And then he calls me about 2 hours later. He's like, all right, now that you had some time to calm down, I'm like, are you okay? No, my bags are packed. He's like, you didn't pack your bags. I said, yes, I did. I think I had a meeting with Coach Ford the next day, and she's like, okay, so what's going on? I was just like, I just feel like I don't know how to play softball. Everything is so new. Like, there's so much detail in the outfield. I just thought you just stood out there, I feel like I'm giving my all in conditioning and weights and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, again, I was a very weak-minded individual, and
wow.
It's funny to look back and reflect on now because it's almost like secondhand embarrassment. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here like, damn, Morgan, like, you're such a little wimp. Like, you're such a little freaking, you're a little shit. So.
That's freaking hilarious. But it's not really hilarious, but I mean, looking back on it now, of course you can laugh
looking back on it now, yeah. I mean, because you can't, I mean, it is what it is, but it's just so, oh gosh, like, so.
The coaching staff's probably like, what do we have on our hands right now?
Man, again, if I would have hated to be my teammate, honestly. I was so weak-minded.
Like we said, it's funny to look back on it now.
It's funny, it's laughable.
Yes, exactly. So do you remember your first game against Indiana?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Okay, I remember nothing.
Listen to this.
My dad pulls these things out, and he's like, you remember this, like travel ball too. And I'm like, Dad, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast 2 days ago. I don't remember anything. Okay, so tell me about this game.
First game against Indiana. Pinched hit for Vanessa Hernandez. He hit a single in the sixth, driving in 2. That's pretty impressive debut, huh?
I think that's pretty impressive. Yeah, it's funny because I can't even picture that at bat. I can't even picture what Indiana was wearing. I can't picture what I was wearing. I can't picture if we were at home or away.
Wow.
Yeah,
actually,
I remember nothing.
Fun fact. You never got out coming off the bench in your first 4 games of your college career.
I never got out in my first. Oh, nice.
There you go. Use that as a little trivia thing later on.
Okay. Okay. You're making me sound like I'm really good.
Well, hey, you did. Hey, you are. So, I mean, you guys had a pretty good year that year, going 42-12-1. We
did. We had a great year.
You started off 10-0 on to open the season. What do you feel was your biggest takeaway from that freshman season?
Definitely. Okay. Well, I would say that I'm better than I thought I was. And from that standpoint, I mean, like, there were just so many things I was learning.
Right.
Just from a detail standpoint. I mean, I didn't realize how, I don't want to say hard the outfield is, but I didn't realize how much goes into being a great outfielder. I mean, you're talking lines, you're talking extra efforts, you're talking about setting up balls that are routine. Like, there's just a lot of extra things that I didn't even know could set you apart in the outfield.
Right.
And then from a hitting perspective, I mean, I like in travel ball, it was very simple. See it and hit it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's no sitting aside of the plate. There's no sitting a certain pitch. There's no, anything of that nature. Like, it was just see it and hit it. And so my first year, I mean, we're watching film. We're talking about certain pitches. We're talking about sitting a certain side of the plate. We're talking about figuring out how to get on plane with this ball and be on plane with that ball. Like, it just, like, it was so much information. And it was so much information to the point where I felt like I didn't know how to play softball because it was all such a foreign concept. It was like, what happened to just it being simple?
Right.
So I would say that my biggest takeaway from my freshman year was that, like, I belonged there. I was actually good at softball, even though all this information I was trying to digest and process felt and made me feel like I was not good at softball because I had so much to process. But I would say, like, the biggest thing that I took away from that freshman season was that I I wouldn't be here I wouldn't have been there if I wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if no one believed in me, or if Coach Ford didn't think I was good enough to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, she is the one that told me, like, you need to stay over summer and get with our trainer and work on your mental side and get tough in the weight room and get tough in the conditioning aspect. Like,
right.
You've got to get tough. So I would say that's what I mean, that I'm good enough to be there is what I took away from my freshman year. And then in between that summer, working with our trainer, Daisy, was my learning of, wow, you have so much left in the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that why, like that first season, is that why you DH'd quite a bit and come off the bench? Was that more or less, they knew you could hit, but you had to learn the outfield fundamentals?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And a big part of it too is, I mean, I was fighting for right field, and I was behind a senior at the time, Bria Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
And in my mind, you come in this little tiny freshman. Well, I wasn't tiny, but this little freshman who doesn't know how to play softball, what I felt like.
Right.
It was like, wow, like you're going to tell me Coach Ford would tell me all the time, like, you need to be in right field. This team needs your bat in the lineup, and you've got to play right field. And I'm sitting there like, do you not watch what's happening in the outfield? Like, I don't know my left from my right. I don't know what foot's down and what's not. I don't even think I know the gloves on the right hand. Like, I'm sitting there like, there's no freaking way that we're winning a game with me in right field. So, come to finally realize that, like, again, it was all the things I was trying to process.
Yeah.
So eventually, like, I did learn, like, okay, you can play the outfield, you can hit, but that is why that I DH'd a lot. I wasn't going to play over BK.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have it yet in the outfield. On top of it, because I was in that mindset of there's no way I'm beating out the senior, I did do all the extracurriculars and gained a lot of weight, and was more wrapped up in the social setting of it.
Yeah.
Just because I felt like I wasn't going to play. And yeah, I mean, I gained a lot of weight. I was not as agile as I should have been in the outfield. And, on top of that, I was, again, just a weak-minded individual. So I had to earn the DH spot. So that's why I pinch hit so often.
Right.
Because if I'm not mistaken, Dominique Jackson was in the DH spot most of the time. She was she was also in my class. So, I mean, I had to beat out her, and I feel like, I mean, she could bunt the ball and it would go over the fence. I mean, so I got a lot of pinch hit opportunities because they couldn't work my bat in the lineup, because there was no way I was going to DH there was no way I was going to DH in front of Dominique unless Dominique, went on a downward,
right.
And then there was no way I was playing the outfield. So, but eventually
you learned. I will say this. I've been a pitcher my whole career. And a couple times I've been thrown in the outfield, and it is by far the hardest place to play, because I cannot judge a ball in the air. If it's in the infield, if it's hitting the air in the infield, not a problem. Anything in the outfield, nope.
Outfield's hard, and I don't think people understand that. I mean, there's a lot of time. There is and there isn't a lot of time to think.
No,
and that's where people get wrapped up, is thinking. I mean, in the infield, I cannot play infield. I will say infield is hard. I will say that. I am terrified. You put me anywhere in that dirt, no freaking way. But I don't know. The one thing I did enjoy about the infield is that it's all reactionary. Yeah. You don't have time to think. You do not have time to think. And I think that's what makes the outfield so hard, is that you have what feels like all the time in the world to think. Think about where you're going. Think about your line. Think about, where am I going to go with this ball? Think about setting it up. How far do I need to be behind it? It's just, there's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much.
Yeah. So sophomore season, you'd be named to the 2017 NFCA All-Pacific Region second team, All-Mountain West first team. Led the team with a .418 batting average. What was it that clicked for you? Was it that summer training?
I think that had a lot to do with it. I mean, that put me physically in a really great spot. It made my mind a lot tougher, because Coach Ford and that whole staff left. So there was a whole culture shift. There was a whole shift in process. And I mean, in terms of how we run practice, how we get ready for teams and series. There was just a lot that was different. I think what made me successful, I would say, is the freedom to, I'm not going to say not be afraid to fail, but this sounds bad. There was not as much emphasis on every little tiny detail that I had the freedom to mess up and not get in trouble for it. Or I had the freedom to just run down a ball without having to worry about what foot I landed on or things of that nature. Same with like swinging. Like I didn't have to worry about swinging to a spot and mechanically and fundamentally being all there, all sound every single time. So I know that sounds lazy, but with all the information that I had to absorb and process my freshman year, it was really nice to just have the freedom to let loose and just play softball. And I think that's where, it jump-started the confidence that I built back up. And then what was nice is that you still had all the returning players that knew Coach Ford's culture and knew, our standard of details and things like that. So while I was able to have the freedom, to not really pay attention to a lot of the crazy details I was learning, I still had teammates to hold all of us to that standard of, okay, well, we still want to be, as what's the word I'm looking for, efficient and, with all of our movements and things like that. And we still want to be powerful with everything that we do. So, I mean, we could coach each other up if that makes sense, but it was less of a, you weren't worried about running poles if you didn't get your glove foot down.
Yeah.
You weren't worried, you weren't worried about those types of like I don't say punishments, but just like feedback and
no, I know exactly what you mean.
Consequence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny though. It's funny how the brain works. So I mean, if you're relaxed even just a little bit, it's funny how much better you can perform.
100%, because then it's all just muscle memory, like read and react.
So I'm guessing the coaching thing, is that what led to the transfer to Arizona State?
Yeah, there were just a lot of things I didn't really agree with. Because like I said, there was still a standard that we all held amongst each other just because the culture was so far ingrained from Coach Ford. And there were just things that would be said or the vision was not the same between the players and the coaching staff.
Yeah, that makes it tough.
So I mean, we just came off this crazy season, this really, really successful season, and then we're asked, what are your team goals for the season? We're like, I mean, we're just as stacked as we were the year before. Like, we want to go undefeated throughout our season. Why not? We want to make it deep in a regional, get to a super regional. Why not us? Like, our school has a natty champ. Granted, it's from years ago, but I mean, they're still national champions. Like,
it can't take it away from them.
Exactly. So, it was just one of those things. Like, I mean, we were fired up. It was like, why not us? We were all bought in, and it was like, well, you should just worry about getting, 2 out of 3 every series. Just worry about winning every series and just getting to a regional.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, and it almost just felt like, you applied for this job and you got the job, but did you even research the team that you're coming into? Because we've been to a regional how many times in the last so-and-so years? Like, how are you going to say that? So it just, I just felt like the standard and the what we held each other to as a team just didn't match what she had envisioned, if that makes sense. Yep. So that did it for me. And then there was just a lot of just behind the scenes things that just didn't sit well and I didn't really agree with. So, I mean, I felt like I was going to become a better human being and athlete elsewhere.
Yep.
Preferably Coach Ford, just from what I learned in that one year and versus the next year. So it was, I mean, that's what ultimately led to that. Right
on. So how was the transition? Did the teammates make it easy for you?
Oh, and I think that's what's so great is some of my best friends are from, like, I met at Fresno State, and they were telling me to go. They were like, Mo, Howe, you have 2 more years. We're staying because we have one. There's no reason to leave. I mean, we're in it. we can get through another year, but you just have too much time. Don't waste your time here. Like, go be great. You know, we love you, and like, it's not personal. Like, we get it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what made it so great. Cause I mean, I'm still go Dogs forever till I die.
Yeah.
I mean, Fresno State, I loved my time at Fresno State. But again, it's just the people that I left and that pushed me to leave is also why it made it so easy.
Right on. Makes sense. Now, that first season with Arizona State, pretty memorable one for you.
Oh yeah.
Not
100%.
You know, not only was it a new team, but you'd make the Women's College World Series. Before we get to that though, how amazing was the feeling when you defeated South Carolina at the Supers to advance?
Oh man, I still get chills every time I watch those videos, every time I watch those games, every time I see highlights from that weekend. I mean, chills. It was, I think where the chills stem from is just this, like the stadium, the fans, like hearing them and hearing that they're for us. Oh gosh. Yeah. It's exhilarating for sure.
Oh, I mean, adrenaline rush alone, like must be unreal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Reminiscing.
Seriously, I want to go hit right now. I'm so fired up about it.
So, I mean, any of the guests that we've had on here, you know, that had the opportunity to play at the World Series, talk about the atmosphere in OKC and just how special it is. Personally for you, what do you remember about it?
Well, a lot of people, for one. So I think the thing I remember the most is how big everything felt. Right. Like the stadium itself felt big, the field itself felt big, and it really wasn't. It's the same field we play on every day, you know. The teams felt big, just everything felt big. Felt like I was walking miles everywhere I went. Like it's a big stage. Yeah. And then I mean, I would say what was really cool is, I mean, at least our first game against Oregon, it didn't really matter what fans were there. Like everyone's just a fan of softball. Right. And I think that was amazing because you couldn't really decipher, like you had fans that you didn't even know, or that weren't even wearing your colors, or they were just fans of softball. So I thought that was really, really incredible. And then obviously our game against OU, I mean, I won't forget how dead silent it was whenever we did something good, but you know, if they did, you couldn't even hear the person next to you. So yeah, something else I won't ever forget. But yeah, I would just say just the everything itself was it just felt so large. Yeah. I can only imagine how, you know, the girls felt this year, you know, with they added the upper deck, and like that must have been phenomenal this year. Yeah. So I got to go. I was watching Florida State actually this year, and oh man, it's beautiful. It is. And when you thought it couldn't get any louder. Yeah. Yeah. Unreal. Ugh. Yeah. I want to talk about that opening game against Oregon. I mean, you hit a 3-run shot off Miranda Ellis. I did. That had to be pretty cool, huh? I will say, as I mentioned earlier, I don't remember anything about softball. Any games I've ever played in, I could tell you I remember that at bat. I would hope so. I remember that at bat. That was really, oh gosh. I felt like that was really rewarding because if I remember correctly, or what it had felt like was in the regular season, I did not hit well against her, or who was the other one? Ellis and I know her name. Ellis and nope, I don't remember her name. Okay. I know it. Like I can picture her face. I can picture her mask. I can picture her being in the circle. We'll say a really good picture. It'll come back to me in like 5 minutes. But I just remember I didn't feel like I had a really great series against either or. And so, I mean, just to go back and watch the film, go back and work that pitch, especially because it was a drop ball, and working with Harder my freshman year on drop balls was the most frustrating. Like if there was one thing that was going to make me quit softball forever, it was freaking drop balls. Oh, I hate drop balls so much. And me and Harder worked on a low tee for hours on end. Like so just for me to finally like piece it together and finally, you know, get a real taste of success off a freaking drop ball on the biggest stage. Like that was a really rewarding at bat.
No doubt.
Just for a lot of for a lot of the behind the scenes aspects that it held.
Right on. Your senior season with the Sun Devils.
Yes.
Safe to say it didn't end the way you wanted it to?
No, it did not.
Yeah.
However, I think that we gave Alabama a run for their money. And I don't think there was much more that we could have done, especially in that second game against Alabama. I actually was just talking to Skylar about this the other day, and I'll say it every day of the week and twice on Sunday. The ball that Skylar hit to end the game was going to end the game regardless, whether it was caught or whether it got through. I mean, I told Skylar, I was like, I was scoring from first base. So I whether it got through or it didn't, that ball was going to end the game.
Exactly.
So that's the one thing that like helps me sleep at night is it was a 50-50 shot. She either caught it or she didn't. So
I mean, you had a pretty good last game too, eh? You had 3 for 4 in your last game. I mean, that's a pretty good way to go out though.
And it's funny because I don't remember any of those. I don't remember any of those at bats, and I'm
glad I can serve as your memory.
I'm really glad for that. I also would tell you that, like, if I had to guess, like, if my life depended on it, like, how did you hit in your last game of your college career? I probably would have said that I probably went like over. Like, I really like it. Just, the loss. The loss makes you feel like,
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. 100%.
Anything.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
But I just especially don't remember anything. So,
so what would you say was your biggest takeaway from your time at Arizona State?
Biggest takeaway. I would say my biggest takeaway is just trusting the process and, loving the hard. Megan Kleiss is the other pitcher.
Oh, there it is. There.
I told you.
Jesus,
I'm
looking at my watch. It was 5 minutes.
I told you. Megan Kleiss.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry. I told you to text me in 5 minutes.
That's amazing.
Biggest takeaway was loving the hard and trusting the process.
Yep.
Did you ask me why?
No. I just want to know what your biggest takeaway was.
Oh, yeah, those are my biggest takeaways.
Right on. Actually, I forgot to ask you, actually, what did you have as a walk-up song in college?
Okay, so they varied. So
okay, yes.
I think my freshman year was Ali Boombaye, just the instrumental version.
Okay.
And then my sophomore year was This Is Why I'm Hot.
Okay.
That's a lie. No, that's a lie. Sophomore year, it was Pop, Lock, and Drop It.
Oh.
I had the whole stadium lit. It was great. Everyone was dancing, having a good time.
Great.
Pop, Lock, and Drop It.
Nice.
My junior year, so at Arizona State, you get 2 walk-up songs. But if you're not a senior, the seniors get to choose your second one. So my first song, I think I went back to Ali Boombaye, the instrumental. And then the second one that they chose for me was Questions by Chris Brown, because I was always up in the group me, like, what are we wearing today? What time do we? I just had all these questions all the time. So it was fitting. And then my senior year, my first song was This Is Why I'm Hot. There it is.
Yeah. And
then my second song that I chose was for my dad. It was Tom Sawyer by Rush.
Oh, nice. Right on.
Yeah. He had been asking me for years to do that song. And I was like, no way, Dad, it's lame. No way, it's lame. And of freaking course, if I did anything big, it was because I walked out. Like, it was because that song played.
Nice.
Like, of course. And I was like, dang, Dad, if you told me that it held magical powers, I would have had this song playing my freshman year.
That must have made him feel proud.
Oh, yeah. I think it made him cry every time he heard it.
Right. That's awesome. Athletes Unlimited. How awesome was that first season?
Oh man, it was. Yeah, it was great for a lot of reasons. I mean, for one, like I said, I thought my career was over, and then I had my hopes all high because of Canada, and then my citizen wasn't going to go through, so then my hopes and dreams crashed back down, and then I tried out for California promotion, and my hopes were all high again, and then COVID, and my hopes went right back down. So, just for the sake of still playing softball, it was amazing. And honestly, I went into that just thinking, like, don't take it for granted. You really don't know if you're ever going to play again after this. Like, just have fun. I ended up shocking myself and doing really well. But it's just amazing for the fact that I was able to play softball again and actually suit up in a uniform and actually be a player and then, you know, the next and probably most amazing part of it was that I got to play with all these people that are just phenomenal softball players. I mean, phenomenal softball players. You see them on TV all the time. You see their names everywhere. But then to learn that they were like actual, true, genuine characters and human beings on the side of it. I mean, because you only see them as athletes, and then to get to know them as people and spend, you know, real time and, you know, quality time and have, you know, genuine conversations with them. It was just the entire experience as a whole was just, you know, because I'm even in the quick stuff, I can't decipher between personal and softball things. Right. And so Athletes Unlimited, I just felt was like a really great place for all of it to all converge into one. And it just, I loved it. I loved everything about it.
Man,
I loved everything about it.
I've been raving about it on this podcast since it happened. I mean, I talked to, you know, Victoria and Kat and, you know, Erica, and I just I loved it. Like the whole point system, everything about it was just, and the whole draft, all of that stuff, I just thought made for really entertaining softball. And, you know, and then this year being able to go back again, and the fact that there's going to be fans in the stands this year, that's going to be amazing. Yeah,
I'm so excited for fans.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because, like, again, I think it's going to be, it's just going to be like fans of softball.
Yes.
Like, that's what I love about Athletes Unlimited. Like, you just have a bunch of athletes thrown together and they just get to play. Like, you have a lot of people that followed, followed a bunch of schools, but then in turn ended up following the athletes. And so just like, you know, my one and only time at the College World Series, like, fans of softball, like, they're excited for no matter what side you're on, you know? So that's what I'm most excited for, just fans of softball being able to watch softball in a live setting again and see, you know, some of their favorite athletes play with and against each other. Like, it just, oh man, it's going to be, the fake fans just did not do it for me.
No, I don't imagine. Like, that must be,
you know,
like they piped in sound, did they not?
They did, yeah. And I just, the only one I ever distinctly remember is this crying baby in the background. Like, there was always, like, it would just happen every maybe like 10 minutes. Like, there'd just be that little hint of like crying baby, and I couldn't do it.
Oh my God, that would be annoying.
Yeah, it was not.
So what was the best part of last summer for you personally?
I think rekindling, I don't want to say rekindling friendships, but like getting to be back with people that I haven't seen in years or play with in years, or I had played in passing and maybe knew of them, but didn't really, you know them on a personal level. I think that was like just the best part of AU. I mean, we were trapped in a bubble, but you know, normally when you're trapped with a bunch of girls, at least from a girl's perspective, I mean, you get annoyed of each other, you guys get sick of each other. But they're like these people I just hadn't seen in years, or I had only known about and known of, and we've maybe had said hi, and like you got to know them on a deeper level. So I think that was my favorite part, was just developing those connections or rekindling friendships, or you know, coming back together years down the road. I mean, like me and Erica Piancastelli, she was on my very first travel ball team, and that was when we were like 10, 11, 12-ish. And after that travel ball team, we ended up going different ways. Like, we both went to different high schools. We went and played for different travel ball teams. she went out to McNeese State. I went out to Fresno and then Arizona. Like, we just never saw each other ever again.
Mm-hmm.
But we got all sorts of close again, you know, back at AU. And then like even Kama and I were recruited together, went to Fresno State together, lived together our freshman year. We're both at Fresno State again sophomore year, transferred at the same time. She went to Cal, I went to ASU. You know, the universe brought us back together on senior day, got to spend senior day together. But then it was just kind of like, hey, when am I going to see you next? And then boom, AU, we were roommates again. So it just, you know, our college debuts, we were roommates, and our pro debuts, we were roommates. So it's just the personal friendships and the personal connections that I made was probably my favorite part of the summer.
Awesome. I think you kind of ruined my final segment. Actually, no, I'm kidding.
Oh, dang it.
I'm only kidding. Last segment. It's called Player Association.
Okay.
I'm going to throw out some names to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just touched on Erica and Kama, but you're going to touch on them again. I'm going to throw out some names. You can say as much about them or as little about them as you want. All right?
Okay.
All right. First one, Jill Compton.
Oh, I owe everything. Okay. I feel like I say this a lot. Like, I owe everything to multiple different people, but Jill is, I think, one of the most behind the scenes people that I owe everything to, because Jill was a senior when I was a freshman, and she was the one that really like physically took me under her wing and was like, all right, Howe, let's go. Like, we're gonna make you better. Cause Jill, I mean, she's a senior, she's experienced, she knows what it takes, she knows how to get there, she's got the mental side all figured out, and I clearly didn't. And I mean, she shoved me under her wing and was like, let's go. So from then on, she just was always someone that understood my mind, how it works, you know, what I thought of myself in certain situations and things of that nature. Because she was our GA my sophomore year, but she was also my roommate my sophomore year. So I was just able to vent to her, and, you know, she just knew me. She just knew me in and out. And then sophomore there, she was there. And then I say we all, because there's a lot of us, but ended up at ASU. Again, she's a GA at ASU, like, just gets me. I can vent to her. I can talk to her about anything I want, and she just gets it. And then there for my senior season, like, she just was there throughout my entire career. So like, honestly, a backbone, honestly, someone that just flies so far under the radar in terms of, like, you know, people that you wouldn't think, you know, got me through, you know, my process and my journey. But Jill Compton is a lifer. Love her to death. Owe her 90% of what I became in college.
That's awesome. I didn't know it ran that deep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Next, Taylor Becerra.
Taylor Becerra. I think it's sad because I only got to play 2 years with Taylor Becerra, but science rules. And if she ever listens to this, she'll understand what I'm saying. No, just one of the sweetest individuals I've ever met. Works freaking hard.
You can swear on this, but hey, fuck. You can swear on this.
Works so hard. So attentive to details, and so willing to, like, help other people out. Just one of the most giving individuals. I rarely ever see her not smiling, not, you know, upbeat, not having a good time. So one of the best energies and one of the best vibes I've ever been around.
Right.
So.
Did she have a ACL injury or something?
Yeah. So our series at Stanford, she put the most beautiful bunt down. Hit the bag at first base. Ball went elsewhere. She tried to pivot to go to second, and her body went, her knee didn't, and that ended up being, you know, the end of her career. So definitely those stories you hear about, and it just sucks because, like I said, like, Taylor's one of the most deserving people in terms of good things happening to them. So just, I mean, shattered my heart. Like, you know, I vowed that every game I played the rest of that season was for her. So
shit, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, it was really hard to go through senior day without Tay being able to like take the field with us. So
no doubt.
Especially because she was somebody, her and Skylar were the two left in that class that like stuck it out, was there all 4 of their years through all the coaching transitions, things like that. So,
right.
I mean, just for me to be able to come in and, you know how much that weighed on them too, like it just broke. I mean, it broke my heart, broke everyone's heart. So.
No doubt. Speaking of Skylar McCarty.
Skylar, it's my bestie for the rest of the year right there. Man, we went through some outfield stuff together. I love Sky so much. Sky is somebody that if you don't have Sky in your corner, you're fucked.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that right?
You want Sky in your corner. Sky might be small, but she is the mightiest little thing I've ever. She could mess some people up.
I'm picturing the movie Mean Girls right now.
No, not Mean Girls, because she's actually a good person.
Oh, okay.
Sky's a very, very, very good person.
Okay.
And that's what I mean, though. It's like she's small, like you might underestimate her, but Sky, I mean, she goes to war for her people, and she fights for what's right. She will speak up, and she will say what she needs to say, and she does not care. Like, Sky's just one of the realest people I've ever met. She does not candy coat anything. She tells you straight up what you need to hear, whether you want to hear it or not. And that's why I respect her so much as my friend. So like I said, if you're on the wrong side, if you're not in that corner, you should be worried.
That's awesome.
You should be worried.
That's awesome. 2 more. Erica Piancastelli.
Erica Piancastelli. Like I said, she was part of my first travel ball team. That was back when we were like 10-ish, 11, 12-ish. And I mean, I was actually closer with her twin, Nikki, when we played on that team together. And then through the years, I think Nikki fell more into basketball rather than softball. So I would see Erica out at the fields or like in passing in, not college, in high school.
Yep.
But never really Nikki. And then Erica and I didn't really, like, again, like we weren't super close, but we would talk every here and there, especially in college. Cause I would see her on like, doing something great, obviously, cause that's just Erica. And, I'd be like, congratulations. Like, I'm so freaking happy for you. Miss you so much. We got to catch up. And we never did. And then again, finally, like, I mean, we get to AU and it was like, we picked up right where we left off. Like,
that's awesome. Our
12-year-old selves in Orlando, Florida, in the rain, in our matching outfits, going to opening day ceremonies. Like, I love Erica. She's one of the goofiest, but goofiest, like funniest, but also so like, she could be super serious and she's just so, I love her. I just can't.
And has such an amazing swing. Like her swing is ridiculous. Don't even get me
started on her swing. I don't like. There's not many people that can handle a leg kick, and she just makes it look so freaking easy. But that's the thing about Erica is like Erica is so committed to her craft, and she's so about the process. And that's one thing that I just idolize so much about Erica is like she trusts wholeheartedly in the process, no matter how horrible it is. And I mean, her swing goes to prove that. I mean, she just that, and then just as committed she is to the process of like her swing and her craft. I mean, she's just as committed to that same process, but on a personal level in terms of growth and having a good head on your shoulders and being a confident human being, and then also like putting that out into the world and like sharing that same love for everyone. So I just, man.
Yeah,
one of the best people I've ever had the pleasure of knowing.
Yeah, I have a feeling she's going to have a huge Olympics.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm really excited. She, again, when we talk about people that are like the most deserving, that's one of them right there.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I can't wait to watch her in the Olympics. Yeah. She's worked so freaking hard.
Absolutely. Last one, Kamalani Dung.
That is my ride or die. I love her. That's my sister right there.
I can tell from social media.
She just, it's just crazy what the universe has done for Kama and I. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, like Kama and I got recruited together. We were freshman year roommates. Didn't room together sophomore year, but we were there sophomore year together. Had really great years. Both decided to leave, and when we left, I mean, she went to Cal. I went to ASU. Only saw each other at freaking Mary Nutter, and then when we played each other in conference. Mm-hmm. And every time that we saw each other, same thing with Erica, like we never missed a beat. It was like, I just saw her yesterday, but just, you want to match energy with someone, Kama will match your energy. Kama's down for anything. She's down for a great time. And like, it doesn't matter where you are, like, or what environment you're in, like Kama is someone that will have a great time no matter where you're at. Those are the best people. But man, and then again, like for us to be roommates in our rookie debuts and us to be roommates, 4 or 5 years earlier as little freshmen, walking into college together, just crazy how the universe works. Yeah. And just on a personal side, like, I mean, her and I both at that time in AU, I mean, we're going through some things just in our personal lives, and felt like that was very similar to when we were together in Fresno and whenever we would find each other back again in college. Like there's always be something that we'd be going through at that very specific moment in time. And then we just so happened to, be in the same area and we'd be able to talk about it. It was just like a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? So just to be at AU and be able to like, for 6 weeks, be in our own world, our own little bubble, and just, be carefree and just, yes, talk about those things and get through those things, but do it together. Just love Kama with my whole heart. Yeah. Doing my research for you here, I come across, some of the videos that you posted from AU with you two, and man, they are frigging hilarious. like I said, matching energy. I mean, we could be really calm one day and then just be absolute crackheads the next day. Like it doesn't matter, like, but we're just always on the same wavelength. Yeah. I think the funniest one was, I think she was sleeping and you started doing some dance on her bed, and I was like, oh my God, that's friggin' awesome. That's my ride or die right there. Right on. All right, Morgan, this has been awesome. I need to thank you so much for coming on. I mean, I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time, and, for you to come on, I really appreciate it. And I wish you nothing but the best, in season 2 of AU and going forward. Thank you so much. And I just got to say, like, this couldn't have been better timing. Again, with personal things that are going on in my life, this is something that I absolutely needed. And again, couldn't have been at a better time. It was a nice little reminiscent period and reflecting and a chance to laugh and just appreciate, the things that have happened in my life. So really thankful that you asked me to come on here. Awesome. At this time. Awesome. Well, thanks again. Really appreciate it. Take care, Morgan. Thanks so much. You as well. All right.
It's classified, baby.
It's the weekend on the East Coast. Got a little crazy last night. Woke up in the backseat of a rowboat. No clothes, no phone.
You ready? Always.
I guess it's over. Undefeated.
Light it up.
Now I'm just paying the price. High cost of living.
Hey.
I don't have that video by Sunday. We'll never work in the film industry again.
Soldier, dope smoker, and homeowner. Show closer, show boater, and stone thrower. Party people and the people staying home sober. It's for the ones who give me love and the cold shoulder. I do this for the loan brokers and the YOLOers, the go-getters and the Monday morning no-showers. It's for the high rollers with no chauffeurs and the ones who ain't got nothing to hide like home overs. Take a spice rum with a little cold soda. I'm the giving type, organ and bone donor. You can feel the pressure building as you grow older. Spread hard, yeah, I told ya. This is for
the weekend on the West Coast.
And we
got a little crazy last night. Woke up in the backseat of a rowboat. Had no clothes, no phone. I guess it's over, undefeated. Now I'm just paying the price. High cost of living. Is you get what you give? No pressure.
Fresher than fresh, yes I'm the best. No pressure nonetheless. One might come
test until they figure out. This nigga about knocking the bit, getting this grip, taking the trip, and having a sip. I made your girl want a skinny dip when she seen me. Rub my 3 times, I made your girl genie. She made my disappear and reappear. Do it then, gave it to her best friend. Blew it then. See, I don't even know one Mac, but we smoking somewhere in Nova Scotia, Canada, busting the Mac. You see, pimping ain't got no restrictions. I'm your DJ while I'm staying in the mixing, fixing the batch. I woke up with a